All right, everybody. I would like to welcome you to another brick of the week. Hold on, I'm trying to center myself here. How's that? All right. I don't have Paul, my go-to audio video setup guy. Sorry, we're a couple minutes late, but now you know it's live. And I am freezing cold here in Michigan. They canceled school yesterday, though, which I thought was kind of ridiculous. I remember when I was a kid, and yes, I gave my kids that same line. I walked uphill both ways in the snow, no jacket. And Michael, who's going to join us later, grew up in the Russian tundra. So I'm certain they didn't cancel school there for cold weather. But I want to get everyone on today and talk about, and if you've been following me on LinkedIn and the various other social media platforms, we've been talking about our simple operating system. And I'm just going to repeat it so you learn it. Simple is an acronym for strategy. Okay. So when you are wanting to do something, you have to figure out where you are now, where you want to go, and how you're going to get there. And I can promise you how you're going to get there is going to be the complete opposite of what you think. And that's why the I stands for innovation. So we have to test, fail, learn, grow, test, fail, learn, grow. And that gets us out of the analysis paralysis of, is this a good idea? Is it not? Listen, if you think it's a good idea, it probably isn't, right? So you have to get progress. You have to get action. That action creates feedback, and then you can make better decisions. So the more micro decisions you can make early on, the more data you have and the better decisions you can make. We're still spelling simple, and I don't know why people get lost on this. I've had someone get to the end and ask me what we were spelling. So I'm going to repeat again. We're spelling simple. Now we're down to mindset, okay? Because your dreams are going to meet reality. It's going to be more difficult than you thought it would be, and you're going to want to quit, and people are going to tell you you should probably quit because you're spending money you don't have. You're borrowing money from friends. Whatever it is, you're going to have a tough mindset. And then after you have the right mindset, the P stands for patterns, okay? So you can look back at what decisions you've made, what worked, and most importantly, what did not work. And the things that did not work, you need to stop doing them. And it's very difficult to do because you made a commitment. You hired a marketing company. You hired a LinkedIn guru who promised you exponential results in 30 days, and we all know that never works. So let's look at the things that did work, lean into those, stop doing the things that don't work. And that's where coaching, advisory, community comes in. It's very difficult to own that mistake. And the P, like I said, stands for patterns. And then we're going to move to the L, which is leverage, right? Everyone wants to leverage their business at the beginning, but we all know you're most likely leveraging the wrong thing. So the compound effect of consistently doing the right things over time, that is what is going to leverage your business. And the E stands for execution. So you can have all the best ideas in the world. You can have all the best data in the world. But if you're not able to execute, then what's the point of doing it all? So, and again, that's where the power of coaching, community, accountability all come in. We're creatures of habit. And when I say habit, someone just posted this the other day, like, having bad habits is still a habit, or not having habits at all is a habit. So we have to have a plan, where we want to go, how we're going to get there, get the right mindset, look at the data, and then ultimately execute. And through this process, we've done this over the last 12 months, and it's how I've built my entrepreneurial career, really, is just testing, failing, learning, and growing, and never giving up. And we were doing that over the summer, and we looked at some different operating systems out there. And they were often very clunky, meeting heavy, and there wasn't really an opportunity for growth and innovation. And there's popular operating systems out there like EOS. EOS does work, but the only way it works is if you have a great integrator. And if you have a great integrator, eventually the CEO is going to say, hey, this is my company. This is what we're doing. You can take your rocks and put them somewhere else is, typically the discussion. So it's going to get to that point. And so over this process, we've spoken to hundreds of founders over the last 12 months, and we believe we've designed something that is very special and unique, and we're going to be bringing it to market soon. So I want to talk today about the vision the visionary, and that would be me, the one who has all the ideas of the things that we need to do. And then it comes down to what is the strategy and how we're actually going to do it. And honestly, I don't care because I want it done. So we're going to figure out how to get there. And of course, that creates like natural tension within an organization, but through that tension is where the growth happens. So I have a couple of my team members joining me today, both Michael and Bill. So have you guys jump on, and just froze. All right. So we're going to have a real discussion here. It's may get a little tense, but that's what produces good results. So Michael and Bill, why don't you guys introduce yourself real quick?
Michael.
Thank you.
Bill here.
That would be funny.
Michael has to say. So I promise you.
I am I'm head of growth here at House of Bricks. 20 years of sales, strategy, and execution, usually for visionaries that wanted sales, strategy, and executing.
Yeah, and Michael and I got connected this summer. So he reached out to me on LinkedIn. I think we were in a group together, and messaged me, and 9.5 hours later, said, dude, we got to talk. So he ended up, joining the House of Bricks team. So just be careful. If you do DM Michael on LinkedIn, just be ready for a long conversation because he cares. He wants to dig deep and find out what he can help you achieve, not just diagnosing problems. Dude, sorry, guys. I'm having some issues here. So thanks, Michael. Bill, you want to introduce yourself as well?
Yeah, Bill Joel, Chief Operating Officer here at House of Bricks.
I think you're on mute, maybe.
I'm not on mute.
There he is.
Can you hear me now?
We can.
Okay. All right, Bill Joel, Chief Operating Officer. Adam and I have been together in different ventures for about, how many years now? 14 years, is it? And my background comes from a technology background. I've been CEO of public companies, private companies, held all sorts of different roles around the world, and now here helping entrepreneurs and business owners grow their businesses.
And so let's just kick this off, right, guys? So what, Michael, do you see being the strategist? We have different conversations like, hey, let's do this, let's do that. What do you see as kind of the biggest cause for some of the tension? Tell us from your perspective how those conversations go.
Well, I think that founders are all aware of the thing before the S, which is the vision, right? That's really the dream. We don't really put that into a framework because those are the things you wake up in the middle of the night and go, oh, this would be really cool to do. And also, I think founders have the E very clearly aligned and defined of what they think that would look like and what they want it to look like. The problem is they don't have usually the reality part of it is how do you get to the E, right? E is the envision execution, what it would look like. But just because you know what the promised land looks like does not mean you know what the road to get to the promised land looks like. And it's one of those things where I think that it's a difficult conversation because I think I've, outside of even you, I've talked to, I think, more founders in the last 6 months than probably any human being should be forced to do. And they all
Hey, I didn't force you. I didn't force you.
No. I think any human should never just speak to that many founders because they all have the same desires and the same problems. And that is that there's they're on a peak of a high of a vision and they see that peak of a high, which is that execution. But that valley that they have to go through is the thing that I think they don't realize exactly what it takes. And money is a very tough thing because people are driven by it. They're worried about it. And I think that when you have the need for revenue to sustain a business that you're either bootstrapping or have investors already, which is an obligation, you're making decisions that I'd say a lot of times might be more emotional than logical and strategic. And therefore you need a pathway. I think people like you who are helping founders, it's more like, you know, you get off the plane, you just came, let's say you're on a vacation, you literally just came back from vacation, you're exhausted, you get into an Uber and you go, you give the destination home and you fall asleep and you wake up and you're home. And I think a lot of founders they probably need that a lot more than they need to be the Uber driver.
Yeah, and you know, we have to be fair, right? Because as a founder, you're worried about sales and cash. So it's easy to say, hey, let's come up with the strategy. Well, the strategy at the time is not going to do payroll on Friday, right? It's not going to fund your business. But there are compromises that are made, right, for short-term gains that can have long-term impact. So, Michael, just you can be open in our process. What are your thoughts on that? And then I want to have Bill weigh in as well, kind of the anchor and how it all fits together.
Well, look, coming from 20 years of sales, the one thing that I know that is the easiest thing to do is to speed up the process, to do whatever you can to get revenue. And I think that's where a lot of times vision meets reality, because the thing that you have that you think is this great, someone else has to also perceive it equally, right? Value that we perceive and the things that we provide people and the value that is received there's always a delta between those two things. And I think that from our process internally, we've realized that. And then from the people that are in the community and the people that we've worked with and have talked to, we see the same thing, that everyone thinks they have this groundbreaking idea that's going to be incredible, especially the people that are asking you for money to fund it. Those people are the absolute most positive about how, I think that's probably, if I would say in the startup journey, the most positive you are about your company is when you're pitching to people, not to sell the product, but to fund you growing the product, right? Because that's when you're like, you guys should absolutely give me 10 million bucks for this. This is going to be incredible. But I think that's when reality strikes, is when you've built something and you go to market with it and the response isn't as favorable. And that's why, you know, for me, I never even thought about, all I hear everybody talk about is MVP. And you said, well, you don't need an MVP, you need an MVC, so that you don't build something no one wants. And I think that's the problem why 90%, 95% of founders go out of business, is they build stuff that they think is perfect and wait to release it for perfection. And people go, this is really horrible. It's just not good. And so now at that point, money's gone. You can't start from scratch. What do you do?
The other thing maybe I can add.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah, I mean, one of the other dimensions is having multiple irons in the fire, right? So you see one shiny object, you see another shiny object, you see a third shiny object. So you're chasing different shiny objects. And we have to go back to the strategy, right? So the strategy is, who are we? What do we want to be? Where do we want to go? Coupled with what Michael said, it's a minimal viable customer. And go talk to the customer and really validate that this is the shiny object that they want. And as opposed to trying 3 or 4 different shiny objects before you go to the customer. So, try and turn it around a bit, slow down a bit, get the feedback. And then once it's all there, then you accelerate, right? So that's probably the toughest part for founders, business owners, is actually to slow down, to speed up, is what I would say.
So, Bill, you as the chief operating officer, and you and I have worked together now for 14 years. We've had the 3 musketeers like this on a Zoom call. And what do you kind of see from your seat of understanding the cash flow, understanding the visionary and where they want to go, but then also the importance of strategy? What goes through your mind when those conversations are happening? Other than you want to quit.
Yeah, sometimes it's, you're sitting there looking and say, okay, are we going to make, the cash that we're looking for? So I've said this before. I no longer want to be a CEO, so I'm glad you're the CEO, Adam, because managing cash And living cash day by day at times can be very stressful. And because remember, as the owner and the CEO of the company, everyone's livelihood depends on you. So not only the the employees and the customers and so forth, right? So those are the challenges that founders have to face. As a chief operating officer or someone that's plays the supporting role, you have to be there to provide the information, right? What's the information? How do you get to this information? What are the challenges? And kind of raise the flags early on if there's going to be an issue, such that we can all collectively as a team figure out how to get through those troughs. Seen that at the last company you and I worked with, right? There was a panic, at some point in time, and you and I are sitting there saying, we can work through this. We just need to communicate. Here's all the steps, and lo and behold, actually everything worked out. But there was a lot of panic just because people haven't gone through some of this stuff before. So, those are the lessons that you have to take into account. Is if you've lived it, you got to again slow down, look at things, analyze it, and there's usually a path forward.
Yeah, and this is the importance of a team. And I know not everyone is as fortunate as I am right now to have a great strategist. And then Bill, him and I have been partners for 14 years on, I think, 4 or 5 different businesses now. And what he's referring to is our healthcare analytics business, Qualmetrics. We were trying to close a $5 million Series B round, kept getting put off. And we had a burn rate, I think, north of 150K. So it got to the point where we had essentially zeroed out the bank account, needed 80 grand for payroll by Friday. And we're fortunate enough to close the funding round on that Thursday. So it's important to have diversity in your team and skill sets, and the tension and pressure can really create a great outcome if you never give up. And luck. I've changed my name to the Luck Guru on LinkedIn. I'm just damn lucky. So I think what's important now, Michael, is for you to because the strategy is the most important part. Walk us through how you approach coming up with a strategy, and what are some key takeaways that people could apply to their business.
Well, I think that one of the parts that I think I myself have learned through actual screw ups is a lot of people are good at executing something, and then you look at what their framework is and you think, wow, that really works. That's the plan. We should do that because look at the outcomes they got. And unfortunately, every circumstance changes. So understanding actually what not to do is probably a lot more important and valuable. I pay attention to just what a lot of people are doing, and a lot of companies that I've seen how they operate and what they lean on. And oftentimes there's a lot of things you can learn by just seeing that the people that are leaning into what's tried and true, repetitive. They're not really thinking outside of the box. They're more of thinking of what's comfortable. And I think comfort levels have gotten people to a position that they think that because it's worked in the past, it's going to continue to work. And this is probably one of the biggest things that I'm beginning to see with LinkedIn is the more people have, like you talk about it, right? People are selling yesterday's success. And that's the thing that they're selling today is things that happened yesterday that will never happen again, but they're selling it already for people to jump in on and go, look, this worked, do it. Kind of like the Amazon drop shipping, right? That was, by the time people started selling that, people are already on their way out of it. And so that is probably the hardest part, is understanding what to really focus on rather than, like what Bill said, there's many shiny objects. You can do a million things, but how many things can you actually execute if you're only focusing on 20% of the time on 5 things? That doesn't equate to 100%. And I think that's probably one of the biggest issues I've ever had is I'll do 20% of each thing, but that is only 20% of each thing. It's not 100% of a process.
Well, you just helped me write my book. So everyone has been telling me I should write a book, talk about entrepreneurship. And the book is going to be 1 page. It's just going to be a cover, and it's going to say test, fail, learn, grow. Because no one knows the reality of what needs to be done with a business. Yes, there's patterns and things that you can do, but selling yesterday's success, I'm just not comfortable with that, right? If I wrote a book on how to start a healthcare analytics business, well, it's a different environment, different economy, different technology, different needs of the payers. So in reality, the selling of yesterday's success is smart on people's part, but we have to be aware of there are many, many, many variables that go into place for success. Bill, do you have any thoughts on that?
No, it's just, what's going through my mind is you need to always re-innovate, and think outside of the box. And so which, couples into what you're saying, what Michael said, which is, don't build on yesterday's stuff, so to speak, right? You got to take whatever data that you're given right now and start thinking out of the box in terms of how to get beyond that. Because if you think about it, there's, I don't know the statistics, Michael may know, right? But there's so many companies that are formed every day, right? So these people are coming up with innovative ideas every day. And you and I may be sitting here thinking, well, hasn't that already been done? Hasn't that already been done? In other words, how come they're coming up with this next new idea? Why didn't I think of that, right? So it takes, a mindset to reflect and think and think outside of the box and apply that to everyday work, such that you can actually, put the right strategy into your company to help it grow.
So talking about the operating system, one of the things we just did in the House of Bricks community was we created a simple worksheet, the simple operating system. What's your strategy? Taking the time to reflect on the previous year and then also set goals for the upcoming year. So, I was very surprised. Michael always busts my chops when I say, hey, we should put together a worksheet or an agenda. And we've got 50 people in the community. And I think we had about 70% participation. So to get people in a community to fill out a worksheet, they obviously saw value. So there's a couple things that the reasons why I did it. Number one, I want to see who's committed to their business. Two, see who's committed to the community. Three, who will show up and actually share their learnings. The fourth is who will actually send us their worksheet because we asked for it and we told them we'd talk to them about it. So what it did was get them to pause and look at 2024. And then when we write down goals and set a vision, there is a connection and an accountability when you write things down. The next level is sharing them. And then the third is revisiting them later on to see if you achieved your goals and why. So we have created this simple worksheet. I am not sure how you get it. It should have been in the live event or something. If you don't have it or don't know how to get it, message me on LinkedIn and I'll make sure you have it. But I want to challenge everybody today to take that worksheet, reflect on the previous year, write down your goals for the upcoming year. And if you send it to me on LinkedIn or via email, adam.house@houseofbricks.io, and Paul put that in the chat, I will have a conversation with you to go over it. No cost, no agenda, other than some accountability and for you to do that. So if you take the effort, do the worksheet, send it to me, I will have a call with you and probably include Bill or Michael in that, just so we can help you. We want to help you have a plan. We want to help you grow. We want to help you build. And a great way to do that is writing down the vision. So we are going to be rolling out this operating system here in Q1. So stay close to us on LinkedIn. If you're interested in learning more about the House of Bricks community, we have great relationship capital in there, from venture capitalists, investment bankers, top CEOs, early stage founders. Really anyone with a growth mindset can be a part of our community. So understand that tension and resistance creates growth. Stay professional and work through the problem. But at the end of the day, you do have to take action. The best strategy in the world without action is just a strategy. So test, fail, learn, grow, have the right mindset, use data to drive decisions your business will naturally leverage. and this will help you execute over time. So Michael and Bill, thank you guys for joining, and we'll see everybody next week on the Brick of the Week. And I want to see those worksheets. Send them over.
Bye, guys.
Thanks.
Bye.
Well, thanks, Bill.
Bye.
See you.